Howdy champs, my name is Mohit and people, today I'm going to show you how to create fancy headlines, for example like the one that I've actually created out here. Uh, First of all people, I've used a custom font, a Google font actually. I'm not going to get into the detail of how to use a Google font. I'll just cover the topic up very superficially. Alright, you can just Google up Google Fonts and you'll arrive at an URL, and it's self-explanatory people. You'll quite easily understand. In fact, I'll give you some idea so you can actually use it too. But if you don't want to use a Google font but any web safe font, you can do that too. That's absolutely alright. My main purpose is to show you how to use fancy headlines like the one that I've actually created. This is the headline: H1 element people breaking news, and there's some there's some graphic here on the left and some graphic here on the right. Okay. Top border, bottom border, dashed, right? So people, what I'm gonna do is in Sublime Text 2, that's my editor, I'm gonna delete most of the code so I can do it all over again, so you'll get a much better idea how to go about it. Okay, so let me delete the font that I think I should be done all over again, this much and this much. Okay, let's save the document up. I'm going to retain the rest of the code people. Also, let me show you the local site folder. So actually this new folder has got nothing to do with the the project that we are doing. We need this fancy.gif file and this is obviously the HTML document, right? So as far as assets is concerned, we just need one graphic that we need to place on the left and the right hand side of the headline. Right. Let's look at the body of the document. We have one H1 element with a class of mass style, and it closes up out here. Now the class name could have been anything. It could have been mass style, my style, your style, his style, fancy style, awesome style, whatever, right? Or just style. Righto. So just an opening and a closing H1 tags out here. So H1 element, that's it. And now before you can use any Google font people, you'll have to go to their website and you can actually pick up a link from there that'll point to a URL, http://fonts.google.apis.com/ whatever. So depending on which font you wish to use, in my example I'm actually using font family Georgia 1. This is plan B people, this is the fallback. Usually won't be needed. That has, the only purpose is just in case for whatever reason Germania 1 doesn't show up, it'll default to some browser cursor font. But that usually doesn't happen, so don't bother about it. So I'm using the Google Germania 1 font, and you just need to push in a link like this before the opening style tag. That's it. But now it has to be before, that's very important. The internal styles or even the external style link, if there is one. If the link tag pointing to some external style sheet, make sure that the link from Google Fonts should be over and above that. That's important. Okay, so this is the first rule, H1 my style. I just have used the font family Germania 1. You want to use a web safe font people, go for Arial, Times New Roman, Helvetica, whatever. And there's another rule, a compound rule, a group selector, multiple selector, call it whatever, H1 my style before, colon before that is H1 my style, colon after. So I wish to create some content before and after the H1 elements through the pseudo elements, colon before, colon after. You should have a good understanding of colon before and after people, before you can actually understand this tutorial. Okay, so let's start. If at this point, if I were to save the document up, and if I were to refresh, you see I just see the font. I just see H1 in the Germania 1 font. That's it. That's all. I'm sorry. So let's start coding people. H1 my style. Let's give it a width and the height. So let's say a width of 600 plus a height of, let's say, a 40. You can play around with these values. These are the values that I liked. Hit tab. The code expands. beautifully, simply because I'm using Emmet, a code assist plugin that allows you to code real quick. My Sublime Text 2 is Emmet enabled. This is a procedure through which you can actually do that. I won't be taking you through it though. Right. So let's take a browser preview. Let's save the file up and take a browser preview. Well, no change at all. Now let's give it some background. Let's say corn silk, simply because it suits my color scheme, that's all. You could have played with a different color. Righto. Let's have some top and bottom border going. So border top 1 px dashed chocolate. Again, why chocolate? Simply because it suits my color scheme. I am following a certain color scheme, it just suits that. Again, you can play around with your values, people, with your colors, whatever. You see, I'll tell you why corn silk and why chocolate. It will become very clear because the graphic that I'm using gels with the these colors. Very simple reason. So let's refresh. I have a top border. Similarly, let's have a bottom border going to. Okay, so this should be bottom. Makes a lot of sense. Control S to save. Bring the browser up. Let's refresh, and we have a bottom border. Right. Let's make sure that text line property is actually set to center. Refresh. Exactly. Let's set the margin left and margin left auto plus margin right auto tab. I'm sorry, margin left dash a tab. Yeah, that'll ensure that the whole thing shifts in the center of the page this way. Exactly. Now I need to ensure that I have the graphics here and out here. So what I'll do is I'll tackle the next rule, H1 my style before, my style after. So pushing content before and after, multiple group selector people, comma separated, actually two rules into one. So I wish to have some content before and some content after. What content? Through the content property I'm going to define that. So URL, through the URL I can do that. Let's check the name of my graphic. It's actually fancy.gif. Okay, just wanted to be sure. Fancy.gif. Save and refresh. You see the graphic is on both sides of the element H1, but it's actually touching it. I want to push the graphics away from the actual headline H1 element. It's very simple, people. Just before the URL I'm going to have opening closing quotation marks and push it 1 2 3 spaces. The same goes after 1 2 3. Okay, simply by doing this not much is going to happen. Let me bring the browser up. Let's refresh. You just get one single space, but if you wish to have consecutive 3 spaces here and here, you'll need to insert a property called white space, people. WHS tab. Emmet enabled editor allows me to code out real quick and expand my code with tab. And I'm going to set it to pre. Pre stands for preserve. Preserve the white space. That's going to give me 3 consecutive spaces before and after. Fancy.gif graphic. Let's refresh, and that's it, people. I've actually managed to create a fancy looking H1 headline. And why not give this breaking news H1 element some color? So a color of brown to go with the color scheme. Actually, that's a personal preference. Suit your taste. Yep, looks good, isn't it? So people, in no time I was able to create a very fancy looking headline. I hope you found this information useful. Please thumb the video up if you think so. If you enjoyed the tutorial, you found the information useful, please subscribe. Please also please come back for more and more tutorials from me if you think I did a decent job. You have a good day. Bye bye. Peace.